for the Gold Coast Bond University QAFLW Derby. Two of Queensland's most fierce football clubs, both undefeated and so far a step above the rest of the competition. The Bond Bull Sharks are on a redemption arc after heartbreakingly finishing third in 2022, while 2022 runners-up, the Southport Sharks, are becoming one of the coast's most notoriously dangerous sides. It may only be round 4, but this could very well be a 2023 grand final preview. Hello and welcome to round 4 of the Bond University QAFLW. Our production today is brought to you by Double Take Sports, and we're live on the AFL Queensland YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Hannah Davies. I'll be your host in commentary, and a very warm welcome to my co-commentator, Daniel Viles, the lead caller, very experienced, devout fan of this league. It's great to have you here, Dan.
Welcome along, Hannah, and a great pleasure to be with you today. And you're absolutely right. It's hard to believe that this rivalry is so new. This is only the fourth Shark Stoush, as I've heard a few of them refer to it as, and that seems to be the name they've adopted. And yet, there's a real sense of feeling about this one. And two high-quality sides, and there are some new faces in the Bond side, which we'll go through in a moment, but my feeling is that won't dilute the intensity of the contest by all that much.
Not one bit. It is, of course, top of the table. Southport Sharks sitting at first, Bond at second, and only, of course, by percentage, because both teams, as we said, are undefeated. Bond have had 3 wins. First over Maroochydore, 104-6. Round 2, they had a little challenge to Cooperoo, 29-17. Another big win to Wilston Grange, 75-17. And then, of course, to Southport, a very similar pattern, 100-11 in the grand final rematch. Let's touch on that one, because UQ, that was a very different team we saw, and, you know, already Southport in that round 1, huge match for them.
Well, Southport already had a fierce inside midfield, and then Steph O'Brien moved across from UQ, and to have this Southport side now, number 21, Selena Priest, was co-winner of the Emma medal last year, and then they got the MVP as well in Steph O'Brien, which is the coach's player of the year. It is a fearsome side, and that day, the young UQ inside midfield were just monstered by Poppy Bolts played that day, although she started forward but moved into the midfield later. Maddie Watt, who was a little bit, I think when about this time last year, she was just starting to realise she was good enough at this level. She knows now. Oh my goodness.
We all know now. We already knew, but even more so.
And then Carly Ramos, who came up from Geelong to play not one but 2 sports, because, she gets bored easily. And she, they were just on fire that day against a side that had been raided, to use our fellow commentator Jeff Newman's words. But no, Southport showed that day why. Well, I had them as the premiership favourites at the beginning of the year, and Jeff had Bond University. And, it sounds like one of us is going to be very right and the other one nearly right.
I'd definitely say so. Obviously, 2 new coaches for these 2 sides. Bond, probably the biggest signing of the whole competition, and their coach, Andy Lovell, now head of football there. And, of course, for those who don't know that name, played 150 AFL games for Melbourne and West Coast before coaching in the Waffle, VFL, and assistant coach roles in the AFL at West Coast, Geelong, St Kilda, and, of course, the Suns. And then over in the Southport Sharks camp, they've got Peter Doherty, or Doc, and he, of course, replaced QAFLW Coach of the Year, Ryan Davis. And he was already assistant coach, so knew this team and knows them very, very well. Now, we will touch on it as the players are just taking their positions. A lot of outs for Bond today. Daniel, quickly run me through those as the umpire gets ready.
Well, just to summarise all the outs, there's a Suns Academy game this week, and so Bond have lost 11 players overall to that, including 7 from first grade. But we will see there are 7 players on debut. Won't get time to go through them all now, but they come from, well, there are some players with Aussie rules pedigree and other players with pedigree in other sports. But we are underway. This is round 4 of the Bond University QAFLW. We are at Robina at Bond University Oval. Lily Pearce missed that one. Courtney Sexton in the middle. The handball didn't really go to anyone, so Pearce, tried to tidy up. Running over the top in number 40 was Charlotte Taylor. Picked up by Sarah Ingram, who's moved from the Northern Territory this year back to Priest. Every week she gets named in the forward line and plays in the back line. I'm used to it now. Georgia Brouard on the left wing. Was looking for Steph O'Brien. Pulled out. Ruby Mitchell, one of the Tasmanians, concedes the free kick. Grace Moody at right half-back.
So good chance here for Bond. As we said, missing a lot of their key players. One of those on the forward line, Ava Usher, kicked 4 goals last week, so a bit of a loss to have her out. But already Southport back in it.
So Alder just misdirecting that kick. Steph O'Brien, even with her pace and experience, couldn't get there. And yes, Ava Usher, one of the outs, and her sister Alira. She actually had a pretty good game here on debut, where did everything right except gave away consecutive 50s to Emma Zilke, which is probably not the best way to start your career.
As probably that's not the player to do that too.
Holding free kick to Southport on the left wing to O'Brien.
O'Brien had a huge week last week, 42 disposals, 14 contested possessions, 11 tackles. That is just massive figures for her.
The first quarter performance from Southport last week against Aspleen, you can watch it on the live stream or on the recording of the live stream, as Leah Kaslar, a genuine legend of Queensland football, plays it out from fullback. But they beat Aspleen, who are expected to play finals this year, 26-0 at quarter time. It was an absolute blitz. Comes across to Georgia Johnson, just drops it in traffic under big pressure from O'Brien and also O'Connell. It was an all-Irish attack. Not really. Jess Maloof, the captain of Southport, just standing inside midfield as Jasmine Davidson returning from injury, cops one on the scon. Ship puts it inside 50. Chaos ball. Maloof finds the American in Sullivan. Sullivan's kick is awry, and apologies, this is Maloof out in the wing. Tries to go with the left foot, was under extreme pressure from Kaslar. Taylor found one of the debutants in Toby Chapman. More familiar as a netballer, but making her debut in the back line for Bond today.
Yeah, Gold Coast Titans under-18s academy player. So another cross-coder. Lots of them in this competition. And there's one of them, O'Brien, getting involved there.
Pops out the back, the slick handballs. Rihanna Ship closed down very quickly by the winger Georgia Hutton. Sexton getting a head over the ball, ran into Georgia Brouard. If you combine those two heads, you'd get a 200 IQ player, maybe 300. Priest at the back. Finds the wing, finds Brouard. Brouard looks centrally. They do love those inner 45s, particularly when the target's O'Brien. O'Brien will move inside 50. Hit Maloof on the chest and maybe just went too directly to her.
Yeah, the way that ball was rolling just over itself, always going to be hard to catch those ones.
Although Maloof will still be, she sets high standards. She moves in towards the pocket. Too tall for Taylor Gregory, which is saying something. Busting out was Kaslar. Johnson. Excellent intercept. The turnover caused by Maddie Watt.
Great hands there on that take.
Watt inside 50. Sexton. If she's beating you in a marking contest, there's something wrong. Johnson.
Is that because she's short, Dan?
Yeah, I'm 6'4", so I get to make short jokes about everyone. But no, she's someone who's very strong in a contest, very fierce competitor. And no, I don't mean to patronise Courtney Sexton at all, who has become one of the premier inside midfielders of the Bond University QAFLW.
And of course, we didn't mention our umpire team before, but they, of course, are brought to you by Bradnam's Windows and Doors. And our fieldies today, Caleb Stevens and Jack Pledge on the boundary.
Just interrupt. Taylor Gregory with a shot. We'll get back to the umpires in a moment. Takes a left turn. And that will be the first score of the day. Sorry, Hannah, continue.
No, not at all. And Robert Leake on the boundary with goals, Joe Bull and Ryan Kelly. So, Bond here looking for an outlet. They'll go wide across the wing, but find Southport instead.
Good pressure as Hutton cleans up at the back. The inside 50 was from Ship. Hutton, well, tried to clear, found someone's head. Moody at the back, fumbling. O'Connell, 8 goals already this season. Round the body from Gregory. I don't quite know how she missed, and in fact, I thought she didn't.
So 14 minutes played here.
Actually, it's a countdown clock. It's
Sorry,
6 minutes.
It is counting down. That is unusual.
It is, but no, I like the Bond scoreboard, and forgive me for correcting you, but it's just that's a classic error here at Bond University. Making no error at all is Sexton. who got in front of her opposite number and took a very clean mark. Watt inside finds O'Brien. I'll say that a lot today. O'Brien inside 50 again. Cut off by Lightfoot. Welcome back, Paris Lightfoot. Maloof. And it will go across everything. Cleaned up by Grace Moody. Moody from Yeronga last year and Coolangatta before that. And now at the ball, Lexi Samuels, not on debut, but still quite inexperienced. Jess Maher taking the mark. This is her first game against her former side, and she is pumped. Was looking forward to this game ever since the fixture list was announced. She gets it towards the 50, unable to be held. The turnover, and running into trouble. I think that was Evie Reeves. Just the wrong decision, and maybe a little far out to score from Georgia Brouard, but a big opportunity for the Sharks. The Great White Sharks, as it were. Looking for O'Connell. She was outnumbered in the contest. Moody got the ball eventually, and I think O'Connell went high, so she's conceded the free.
So Southport, they're giving themselves plenty of opportunity, but Bond's defence is just really breaking things down in that inner square.
Comes out wide, finds Hannah Davies. I'm going to say this once only. Yes, they have the same name, the commentator and the player. That's the only time I'm going to mention that today.
Same name, but certainly not the same talent out on the field.
Oh, you write better than she does. As Ruby Mitchell, a lot of interstate players. She's a Tasmanian. And also on debut today from Tasmania, Gemma Blair, the scholarship holder here at Bond University. She's in the number 29 shirt. The Southport looking for an opportunity. They go, comes to O'Brien. Brilliant charge down from Gemma Blair. Speak of the devil. Comes back to O'Brien. Has a bit more space. Second chance. O'Connell. She loves a meat pie, does Maggie O'Connell. Number 9 for the year. Southport's forward pressure becomes points.
Kicked 4 goals last week. And that's her first today already. 12 minutes to play here at the Bond University Oval.
I try not to pay too much attention to Maggie O'Connell's goal celebrations because they rather draw attention to themselves. They don't need me to be their marketing officer.
They're pretty good, aren't they? As the big goal comes up on the screen. I love that graphic. Hopefully we'll see that plenty of times tonight.
So Bond, Lily Pearce, she's such an important part, but even though she won the hit out, Sexton wins the clearance. Looks wide. Lee Alder looks to have that sewn up. Gets help from Pluples. And that's been some of Southport's success, is the way that they work as a team to give each other space. Megan Sullivan heads towards the 50. Good front position from the Bond defender. Davidson across. In a bit of trouble, but Leah Kaslar's the person you want if you're in trouble. The pressure from Bond is immense. And yet their weight of numbers didn't quite tell. Kaslar got it out. Reeves will pick it up, calls of ball, and they probably should have played the whistle. Lily Pearce gives it straight to an opponent in Sexton. Able to clear, good front position from Ivarak. Alder tackled, and that's beautiful work from Bond this time through. Sonny Hewitt on debut.
Great contest there from the Southport defender. Priest, she's been very reliable for that side for years now. Joint best and fairest winner, of course, last year.
Drafted by the Brisbane Lions twice and just couldn't break into the top side. And it's no disgrace not being able to break into the Lions side. Davidson beaten in the ruck. Sexton beating Watt there. Taken out by Pluples. She grows every week, Abby Pluples. Kaslar's come a long way forward. Good contest. Going through the middle, Ship and Taylor running into each other. O'Brien fumbling for the first time in a month. Ship back to Ramos. Ramos plays wide. Good positioning from Davies. Davies plays on. Found the wide figure of Ramos. O'Connell too far out to score, but she won't believe that.
Great ball up there, but unfortunately no one from her team in sight. Home alone, the defender was in the back there.
Now, Johnson's in space, but she looked forward and all she could see was white jerseys. Looking in the middle for Gabby Della. Came down from Geelong a couple of years ago, a former scholarship holder. Not sure if there was some ceremony between her and Gemma Blair, but let's pretend there was. Jasmine Davidson back in the side against... Oh, beautiful run from Georgia Johnson. And it could have been called a throw or holding. Either way, Georgia Burrard's got the free.
So plenty of free options in Southport. And they find one, but just can't pull that in.
Bond swarming the contest. They haven't always had... Oh, pickpocketed by Brouard. Plays into space. Moody drops it, but is able to hack it into space. Lightfoot with the follow-up. Numbers, Davies. Davies with a bit of a screwball kick, and for the third time in 2 minutes, Grace Moody cleans up. Where would they be?
Well, it seems to be the theme tonight. Getting close, but that's a little unforced error there. Ball just trickles out. So umpire to ball up here. Sorry, throw in.
Don't recall Bond being forward of halfway. I think there was a brief period after Sexton won the previous centre ball up. Oh, that's happened a couple of times where the kick from defence is just ricocheted in. Ingram finds a bit of space, goes across field. Well read.
Well, I guess this is what it is tonight, is that Bond are missing a lot of their normal forward line, a lot of their young ones who bring that speed and flair down in the attack line. So the defence, by the looks of it, is going to be really good, but just struggling as they get into that centre part of the field.
So Gregory played it forward through Davies to Watt. Watt will go deep inside 50. He's looking for Baldwin. Gives it to Sullivan. Sullivan will walk this in. Somehow missed. Just came off the inside of the left boot.
Yeah, just a rushed opportunity there. Almost looked at it too long, you feel. Overthought it a little bit.
Well, given her sporting background, that I've mentioned this before on commentary, but it's not often that you come from, I mean, in this case, Sullivan's come from skeleton and bobsled. It's not often you come to Aussie rules and that's moving to a less tough sport.
Yeah, they're certainly very, very different mindsets, very different team sports, put it that way.
It comes to Aussie rules to calm down. As it goes through the arms of Hutton, I think that's Plooples over on the far side, just ran into traffic. Beautiful work from Kaslar. And her organisation at the back, she's working as hard vocally as she is physically. Kicks it away to Ramos. Ramos finds a short option. That was a beautiful lead from Maloof. Maloof, the skipper. Fair way out, looking for O'Connell. All she had to do was catch it. But there were three defenders around her, including Paris Lightfoot. Missed last week's game with a black eye, suffered on Anzac Day. That's experience. O'Connell, the high contact. Southport undoing their good work, able to clear through Hutton. Reeves losing out to Brouard. Brouard back to Ma. Doesn't use the silky left boot this time. Hacked by Gregory. Hutton pushed off it by Ingram. That was good implied pressure. Came out the side to Hewitt under pressure from Brouard. Ingram gets it again. The tackle is fierce from Kylie McMullen on debut. New South Wales over 40 and Queensland over 35 representative. Speaking of 35s, Jess Ma. Brought to ground in an aggressive tackle by, I think, Jasmine Davidson. Sorry, Lily Tarleton. And I wouldn't mind betting that Tarleton just had a little bit of a word in Jess Ma's ear down there.
Bit of push and shove down there. No love lost between these two coast sides whatsoever.
Alder did well. Good hand pass under pressure. Found Plooples. Plays such an important role in this side, Abby Plooples. Look at the pace of Sullivan. He's able to get it forward. Lightfoot read that very early. Got into position, then tackled O'Connell. Take two bows, Paris Lightfoot. And then Sullivan. Yes, the arm went up the wrong way initially. Sullivan will win the free.
Well, we've seen a lot of this tonight. Southport nearing that 50. Great pass there. And another opportunity here to hit the scoreboard. Do you think she can go this distance, though?
Well, this is the first time we've seen Maddie Baldwin come up from Victoria. I asked my contacts within the Southport side how she played, and I was told one word, beast.
Well, let's see what the beast can do then.
Got a decent roost on her. O'Connell's fist falling loose. They were able to keep it out. I think that's Tarleton who hits the deck. Apologies, it was Davidson. High contact, shot to Southport. Very narrow angle. Davies will have the shot.
Pretty spectacular if she can snap this one round. Surely these are the ones you're practicing at the end of training every night.
Davies.
And hear that cheer. Hannah Davies marked Southport's second of the night. And that was a brilliant little snap around.
Davies was the captain of the Southport side when they won their 2 premierships in the division down. And then when Jess Maloof, I figure if you've got a player of Jess Maloof's experience, you should probably make her captain. But Davies is a leader on the field even when she doesn't have a role. Very impressive footballer. Missed the first couple of rounds with injury. So good to see her back in the Bond Uni QAFLW.
Well, Southport, they're a very experienced side, and I think that's probably the difference between them and Bond is Bond, with their standard side, they're a little bit younger. A lot of academy girls, obviously that's why they're out today, but they are going to bring that experience. Pierce.
Tarleton was able to get it down to Hewitt, but then the Bond swarm came back through Taylor. They're forward of 50. Minor achievement.
Great chase there from Kendall.
Talk about Kendall in a moment.
Will that be holding? Nope, she gets rid of it.
Great work from Ma, though. Pierce at the back. Kick wasn't quite weighted well. Bruard on the ground. They had the numbers in the right place. O'Brien, Ship. Charge down from Taylor. Watt, Bruard. Ship. Calm under pressure with the Great White Sharks. Holding off the ball. Not undone, but they'll be disappointed with that Southport. Annalise Daniel on debut. She's come from track and field. Oh, just dropped by Iverack in the middle of the park. Davies through the middle, the goal scorer. Towards 50, but it was a shallow entry, and it was cleaned up by Kaslar as soon as it happened. And Shark on Shark, that was like an Attenborough documentary. Pierce uncontested. Saw that a bit last week against Aspley, where she'd often hit it. Win it uncontested, but then we hit it to an opponent. Hutton working hard, tracked by Ingram. The roost from Hutton fell through Tamsin Perry, straight to Lexi Samuels, who was then dispossessed under pressure from Priest.
So Bond yet to push through and break through this Southport defence. Maybe I spoke too soon. Kendall.
Kendall hacks it out, gone inside 50. First bit of work from Matisse Hunter. Kicks it out in the pressure, but there are only Hewitt and fellow Bull Sharks in supply. Over the head of Samuels. And here comes the cavalry from Southport. Comes to Ramos, but the work before that was done by Kyala Sky Bailey. Back to Ramos via Ingram. Clears to the left. Beats the contest. O'Brien, Mitchell. O'Brien toes. In the way is Gemma Blair. And hello to anyone watching from her former club, Old Scotch Collegians in Launceston. We love it when you send us your best. Sorry.
Very distant shout out there.
You never know who's watching. I mean, technically we could have an audience in Kazakhstan. As Bruard takes it, Maloof, lovely mark in a contest. Former Carlton VFLW player for many years, just Maloof. Plays the 1-2 with Ramos. Taylor Gregory with the height, just went over her head. Bond will be able to clear, although it just went over the shoulder of Lightfoot. Lightfoot swarmed by O'Connell and Ship. She regathered. This will be an interesting call. Ball up.
Southport just so fierce in defence at the moment. Not letting anything slide. And that wraps up the end of the first term here. The Bond University QAFLW Gold Coast Derby. Bond University, no points so far. South Point, 2-3-15. That's a big first quarter from Southport. And we'll be back for the second quarter soon. Welcome back to the second quarter of the Bond University QAFLW Gold Coast Derby. Bond trailing by 15 to the visitors, who are ambushing the Bull Sharks a little bit. Daniel, talk me through what's happening on the field here.
Well, first of all, Southport have worked out the art of starting games brilliantly. That's 2 weeks in a row. They have not conceded, 3 weeks in a row, they have not conceded a point, never mind a goal, in the opening quarter. But as we've said a few times, Bond, with the academy players out, have had to make a lot of changes today. And it's not that the individual players are less talented. What we're seeing around the ground is things like when a Bond player when a Southport player has the ball in space, there's always a teammate there shepherding them and making sure the tackler can't get to them. Those things are happening instinctively for Southport, whereas they're not happening instinctively for Bond. We see it a bit at the back when Kaslar and Lightfoot, who have played a bit together, they're able to combine and create space for each other. So the back five for the Bond isn't looking too bad. But when they've tried to play it out, just the communication between the players is, let's face it, pretty much what you'd expect in a side that's been thrown together like this. However, the effort at the back, and particularly having Kaslar and Lightfoot shepherding them out, has been tremendous.
You mentioned the defence there from Bond, and you're right. I think that's been their saving grace right now, particularly with Lightfoot in that back there. You know, most things that are going down there for Southport have been met with a big challenge. They have got the 2 goals, but considering how much time we're seeing Southport spend in that forward 50, I think it's pretty incredible how much pressure Bond are actually putting up there. I think just the transition is what's lacking a little bit. And I think, you know, I'd love to see them come into this second quarter with a bit more confidence and kind of take Southport off guard a little bit and just trust in how much talent that we know they have. Because I think if you spoke to Andy Lovell, the coach there, he'd speak about the depth that they've actually got. You know, they're not just their academy players, they're not just the Suns girls, they're Bond, and they've actually got a lot of talent there. And I think maybe just having more confidence that they're not the ring-ins, they're actually here because they're in the team and they're ready to bring it to the Southport Sharks.
One player we haven't mentioned on debut because she hasn't had a chance to intervene yet, 58 Izzy Lowe, playing full forward for Bond today. She got a chance because she kicked 8 goals against Wilston Grange in reserve grade last week. I think that deserves a promotion. Second quarter action, Bond University Oval. Lily Pearce not having it all her own way. Sexton looking for it at the back. Jasmine Davidson. And we're going to have a second ball up about a metre from the first. Goals to Maggie O'Connell and Hannah Davies, a.k.a. the usual suspects, for Southport in the first quarter. Through the legs of Ingram. Johnson knocked to ground. Ingram, it's a Northern Territorian battle. Out to Remos. Lovely step inside. Created the space. I think Remos may have forgot that they'd changed directions. O'Brien. Inside again to Ingram. Well read by Hutton. Hutton played wing the last few years but has moved inside this year. Or at the very least is looking for more work inside. Johnson. Gets it at the second attempt. Well blocked. That was Lee Alder, former Coolangatta captain. Through to O'Brien. They use their strength there. Ship on the ground. Wonderful outside running. Back to O'Brien. Racking up the possessions again. Speared it inside. Sullivan's ahead. Gregory on the ground as well. Pulled off. It was, forgive me, that was Annalise Daniel in 34. They've managed to tie it up. But Southport again, just dominating territory. Oh, we have a player down. Might be Sullivan down there. I can't see a 34 standing up, and I think she's the one with the orangey headband. And she was in that chase before as well.
Looks like she's clutching the knee there. And not good signs if we're just taking a pause. Obviously, injuries obviously had its toll on both QAFL and QAFLW so far this season.
And Sullivan this year played a lot of reserve grade last year, and that was probably her level at the time, but moved up in the first grade this year and has looked very much at home. Scored against UQ in round 1. I have a feeling, forgive me for not having the records at hand, but she's scored since then. They've called for the stretcher, so I think that will be Megan Sullivan's day done, unfortunately. There is a lot of bench depth. So just so we don't dwell on it, I mean, we're obviously a lot of concern for Megan Sullivan, and we wish her well, but just so we don't dwell on it, we'll analyse the game and talk about it. Once again, Bond had their opportunities in the middle of the field, but just the pace of the Southport inside midfield to swarm straight away and make sure that I don't think a Bond inside midfielder has more than about 30 centimetres to themselves at every centre clearance today.
Well, you look over there and straight away near every ball is Steph O'Brien. She's just a ball magnet. She brings that quickness and that physicality. She's a really strong player. Clearly spends a lot of time in the gym. She is a very, very athletic woman. And, it's not just her, though. There are so many players that are just at every ball. It's, just relentless from the attackers there.
We'll just briefly go back. So what I will say, the medical staff at both Bond University and Southport, they, obviously both clubs have a bit of money behind them, but they do invest it off the field. And knowing a few of the staff here and chatting to them before and after the game, I've got no doubt that, I'm assuming it's Sullivan, I'll just make absolutely sure, will be well looked after. But yeah, shout out to the medical staff, the physios, the strength and conditioning teams of both clubs. The getting back to the inside midfield of Southport, O'Brien is obviously very hard to miss on the field. The other one I'd probably draw attention to, often when you see a contest, the last one you see get up is 47 Georgia Brouard, who is, her ability to win the ball is just astonishing. So many, you might think of probably before you were born, but Michael Voss, when he played for the Brisbane Lions, his ability to either win the ball or decide, no, this is where it's coming out, was preternatural, as Sullivan is helped from the ground. And there'll be applause in a moment, and rightly so.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this takes an effect on Southport. Obviously, they've been in control so far for this first term, and a few minutes into this second quarter now. But could this bit of disruption provide an opportunity for Bond now to catch them off guard a little bit? Be interesting to see as well. We've had a few minutes now not keeping warm, and temperatures, well, we're a bit of wusses in Brisbane here, so it's nippy.
Yeah, I think it might have dropped to 20 or something. As Bond, well, they got first to the ball, but they've given away a free, and this is an almost certain goal for Southport. Ruby Mitchell, not quite as prolific as O'Connell this year, but she's been on the score sheet several times. And the Southport Swarm looks set to yield another 6 points. Mitchell on the board.
Goal number 3 for the Southport Sharks. Nil still for Bond University. This is unusual for them. Spoke about their first 3 games and how big the scoreboard normally looks at home. Well, this is the challenge for them so far. We said earlier, these two teams, quite possibly grand final teams, but for Bond Uni, this is a big challenge for them.
I love how as commentators we have the luxury of 3 months before the grand final, because we're not accountable. If it turns out to be 2 other teams in the grand final, we just, no, we never said that. But no, they are looking a step above the competition at the moment. You're absolutely right.
Anything can change, of course. Still plenty of footy to be played before. As O'Brien, good smother there from Bond.
Johnson knocks it out. Johnson's arguably Bond's best today. She's been in absolutely everything. And apart from the defenders, and I didn't mean to leave Grace Moody out before when I praised Kaslar and Lightfoot, but Bond with one of their better opportunities, except that, oh, look, Steph O'Brien's there. How interesting and new. Sarah Ingram, Brouard. That's called a throw. Bond University chance to press on. Evie Reeves, first year in this competition, goes for the 45 towards centre half forward.
And that was always going to be a dangerous spot there. The numbers of Southport just everywhere.
O'Brien running it out, playing route 1. That's probably her worst kick of the day. Hands it straight over. Tarleton. Tarleton back inside 50. Is kicking to a contest. Not quite held, and then the shot later from Della. Opportunity not over for Bond, as Matisse Hunter had Kendall around her. Bond maintained the attack. They're a proud club. The motto is respect the jersey. There was a time maybe 5 years ago when it was felt that players came to Bond because that was the best place to get drafted, and the culture was changed. So it became more of a footy club. Pearce over the top of Kendall, running out as Brouard, nearly ran into trouble. Got it past Ship, who's been in most things today. Turnover, Samuels. Samuels off the left, fairway out, low. We may be seeing the first goal of a prolific career here. I don't want to put pressure on her, but again, as commentators, let's go for the big, in fact, two big build-up. Izzy Lowe, 8 goals in reserve grade last week. A mark in front of the sticks, playing against the arch rivals in a top-of-the-table game. And her hair is about to get seriously messed up.
Well, took them first quarter and about 10 minutes into the second to get there first, but this is a big momentum shift now for Bond. We said earlier, you know, would that injury shift things up a little bit for Bond, put a bit of pressure on Southport, and it certainly has so far.
Sometimes the shifts can be mental. I don't think, I mean, you start with 5 bench players. Under Luke Mansbridge, the previous Bond coach, he, except in finals, never played with 5. He always thought, well, I never use one, so I'll just have 4 on the bench, and then that 5th player can just play a full game in reserve grade. So I don't think Southport are going to be hurt by having 1 player injured. But it certainly gave Bond a chance to regroup, didn't it?
It did, and sometimes that's all you need. It's just that little, you know, a player comes off in a stretcher, you're going to be concerned. They're your friend, they're your sister practically. So sometimes it is that mental edge that you can just use that to your advantage a little bit.
Southport looking for a territorial advantage. Ingram, Sexton competed hard on Baldwin. Sexton outbeasted the beast. Through the middle, that was Davidson. Priest had pressure put on her by Della. Della looks a lot stronger physically than she did last year. Perry, Priest, and Priest with a rare error. Found Samuels just behind centre half forward. The left footers in this side are helping. Oh, that's beautiful from Kendall. Kendall had space in front of her. She's tried to play on. May have mucked this one up. Comes out to Nolan. Nolan with an opportunity. Kicked, well, it's probably best on ground in round 1. Comes back to Ingram. So a bit of a learning experience for Kendall, who probably needed to go back and take the shot in that instance. Brilliant athlete, but more rugby sevens over the past few years. And I wish I'd seen, I'll have to find some footage of her playing because she's clearly got pace. As Malouf just wrestled off it by Annalise Daniel from track and field. PB in the 100 metres of 12.02 seconds. She'd lap me in a straight race. Out to Gregory. Tried to kick on the opposite foot. Sexton was pulled off her ball. Finally we get a good kick away through Hewitt. Hewitt into space. Push off the ball from Perry on Nolan. Della out the back of the contest, took a step, had no options. Umpire was looking to play advantage, none forthcoming, Southport free. Good example, Lily Pearce. She's obviously brilliant in the ruck, but her play doesn't finish after she wins the ruck. That tackle was tremendous. Baldwin just let it go over the top of her. Crashed through Watt. Create space for Malouf in front of the contest. Went past Mitchell. Davies intercepted. The handball just wasn't quite strong enough. Good work on the near side, I think. No, I've missed that. Possibly Hewitt. Be a professional, Daniel. Back to Priest.
Seen Bond a couple of times now just play on, so you have to wonder, does Lovell want them to take the speed and use that to their advantage, kind of catch Southport off guard a little bit?
It's something they do at full strength, and why not use your speed if you've got that much of it? As it came out from Samuels to Johnson. Kendall just dropped that one in the pressure from Ma. Ma using her experience and possibly her knowledge of this ground. The handballing from Bailey back to Priest and out to Ship.
It's a few little fumbles from Kendall, but you can certainly see already in this game how much she's building, and probably a bit of nerves just with those drop balls, but the ball's certainly finding her, which is good signs.
Not sure if Moody was paid the mark or whether she won a free kick for a push, but either way, Grace Moody has the ball on the left. Yoronga's best and fairest last year, but she's a coast girl and came back down to the coast. Priest over the boundary.
Certainly a big signing for Bond in Moody. Both teams here have won the signing battle across the league. It feels like coaches and, you know, people in charge of signing just run a finger over who was best in the comp and went, well, we'll throw the question out there. And chances were a lot of the time they said, yeah, we'll come down to the coast. Why not?
Fumbling on the wing, Gregory looks inside for Watt. Watt was the 45, looking centrally over the head of Baldwin. Charging onto it, but missing at that time was Lightfoot, but gets it back through good pressure. Came out to Toby Chapman. Chapman looks wide. Found, I think, Lowe playing a fair way down the field. Apologies, that was Della. Southport moving back inside 50. Won the contest in the middle. That's a lovely mark in defence from, forgive me, that's Kylie McMullen. The mark was better than the kick. Southport looking forward. They've got numbers around the contest. Needed to be brought down by Jasmine Davidson. Couple of weeks off. So good to see her back in this comp. Very unlucky omission from the QAFLW Team of the Year last year. I felt Jasmine Davidson. She was probably the number 2 ruck in the comp behind former netballer Jackie Russell. Blair at the back, under pressure from both Gregory and Watt. Ship. Lightfoot. She's been doing that for a few years. She's got her own bench up on the hill for playing 100 games here at Bond. Lovely run from Blair to Kendall. Kendall, oh, the step. Yeah, she played rugby. Up inside 50, kicked it away to Perry. Perry goes wide looking for Priest. Priest is helpfully pointing out that she caught it inside the boundary. It's always nice when the players help the umpires do their job.
They're a team out here, aren't they?
As Gregory pumps it forward, was looking for Baldwin over the boundary. So Baldwin, think broken leg and some soft tissue injuries. Say it correctly, Daniel. That's kept her out for the last 2 years. She was signed with both Richmond and Port Melbourne down in Victoria. But she's on a field, and we get to watch her. Crashing through the pack was Watt up into the pocket. Bond have the numbers. And Lightfoot sees it over the paint. Most women's games here at Bond start at 2. This is a very rare twilight game here at the Canal. Back to Sexton. Sexton on Watt. Where's a Geiger counter when you need one? Gregory's been a very good second ruck option for Southport this year when Lily Pearce needs a break. Baldwin. The way she pulled that in, they've got space. Maloof. Just goes past the goal face. In fact, was that Maloof or Mitchell? Apologies if I've misidentified. No, right the first time, Maloof.
Yeah, just an unfortunate little miss there. Just rolled over to the side. So Bond, another chance to transition here. Big swing ball into the centre. We'll fight for this one, but already turned over by Southport. We said before, they're just swarming to everything.
Davies, good tracking back from O'Connell. Lightfoot, she's had a busy couple of minutes. Nearly took out the umpire. Don't do that. Hutton, the tackle was fierce from Ship. O'Brien in the contest has 7 bull sharks around her and still managed to get a possession away, albeit turned over to Lightfoot. Free kick Bond.
It was a very bold tackle, that one. Unsurprising, the umpires picked up on that.
Most things Maggie O'Connell does are bold. So the lateral kick not finding a target. The numbers fall to Samuels. Samuels got the call behind her from Sexton. It's the part of her game that's grown in the last year or so is her ability to work behind the contest and act almost like a quarterback or a centre. See what I did there?
Yeah. You know I love my netball terms. Always a special place for any QAFLW players that also play netball in my heart.
There's plenty of them. We welcome them, and for what it's worth, I love seeing them on the netball court as well. Sexton ran straight into trouble. I'd be surprised if there's any prior opportunity, and there isn't. There'll be a ball up.
There's a few minutes left here in the second term. Possibly a few more after that stoppage of injury.
So back to Ingram. Ingram pumps inside 50. They've been finding a way off the knee of O'Connell. That allowed Lightfoot to get in. Cleared a long way. Falls to Kendall.
Look at that speed. Oh, my goodness. You can tell she's a rugby player, can't you?
And you just tried to, well, that's clearly what her education in footy is, just learning how much to take on and when to pull back. But tell you what, I don't want to coach all of that out of her.
Certainly had the speed there, but you're exactly right. Just tried to muscle her way through that, but needed to pass off on that occasion. And as you said, that's just the difference there between the two codes.
So Davidson cleaning up at the back. But then Ramos, Ingram. Ingram's outside run's been impressive and important to Southport today. Beats the contest. Once again, the Bull Sharks have the numbers back. They've been protecting their castle well, and they'll win the free kick on this occasion. Playing it out through the pocket. Sexton's dropped back, and her direction at the back's been invaluable. Ivorak, also normally a forward, was looking for Davidson, didn't find her. Comes inside to Watt. Good chain of possession from the Sharks, the Great White Sharks. Lightfoot again. My goodness, she's impressive at the back.
She's just been on everything tonight, as you'd expect from the captain, especially with a lot of players out tonight. You know, that's who you need to step up, and she certainly has.
There's Brouard fighting for the ball, which is pretty much what she does. First thing on a LinkedIn profile, I'm guessing. Boundary throw in. So in the final minute, I think the clock on screen lost a couple of minutes, but yeah, I can say only about 30 seconds left in this quarter. Good work from Davidson in the contest, but it was turned over. Brouard once again finding a way to get to the ball. It was pushed back. Blair was involved. Blair again. In fact, that was Chapman. Apologies. And they will tie it up, so there'll be no addition to the score before half-time.
Certainly won't be. So that brings us to half-time here at Bond University Oval. And the visitors, Southport Sharks, still leading 3-4-22 to the home side, Bond Bull Sharks. 1 major, 6 total. We'll be back after the half-time break.
Hello everyone and welcome to Virtual Open Day live from Bond University.
I'm your host for today, Nick O'Hara-Boyd. I'm just as excited as all of you to be back home on campus.
We're taking you on a journey of epic proportions.
This is your opportunity to learn about all things Bond University. We'll be hearing from current Bond students as well as exceptional alumni living across the globe.
You ready? Let's go.
Welcome back to the third term here at Bond University Oval for the Gold Coast derby between Bond University and the Southport Sharks. Sharks still leading 22-6, but Bond picked up the pace a little bit in that second term, kept Southport to just 1 as opposed to the first quarter where they kicked 2 majors.
Well, it was 7 points to 6 in that quarter, and you mentioned before, and I'll shut up so you can expand on it, but the effect of the injury. Now, we haven't, just where we are, we don't have a chance to check on Megan Sullivan during the break, but hopefully we'll do that during the week, and obviously check the social media as well. But you were talking about the psychological effect that had on the game, and while it's great for a coach to be able to talk to his or her players during the breaks, there is something where on the field where the players themselves can take charge and take ownership of a situation. And I thought you made some good points about the effect that may have had on the mentality of particularly Bond.
Yeah, I think, when we talk about any sports team, particularly in women's sports team, your team is your family and you're a bit of a sisterhood out there. So naturally when a player goes down, and also I think the symbolism of the stretcher is generally that it's pretty serious. You see someone kind of hobble off, you're like, all right, she'll be good. But when the stretcher comes out, naturally it's a little bit more serious. And I think, we're all human and it's pretty hard to take your mind off that. You're looking out there at your teammate and you've just clapped them off. So I think Southport probably let that play into it a little bit, and I think that's completely normal, and I wouldn't, discredit them for that at all. But I think Bond did well to take advantage of that and to go, okay, well, look, this has been a bit of a shift, so how can we kind of take advantage of this? And I think something else we noticed on top of that was them using their speed to their advantage and trying to catch Southport off guard a little bit. I think Southport play that more patient game, using the stoppages and, their great marking ability to their advantage, whereas I think Bond are using their speed now and trying to just break away, take them off guard a little bit.
And that's been Bond's strength for a while. Last year they had a very small but quick forward line. That was when people like Jasmine Smith, who's now with the Suns, was playing for them. And on a dry day, they would absolutely run you off the park. They got caught out a little bit on a couple of wet days here, but no, the speed is... And I like the way they've used Shinta Kendall. She's made a couple of mistakes, that's okay, but she only needs to get away once or twice, and that's going to have a massive effect on a scoreboard in what is a relatively low-scoring game.
Yeah, I love that you've mentioned that name already, Jacinta Kendall. Going to hear that a lot more tonight, I think. She had showed us signs of how good her speed is, and you wouldn't be surprised with a rugby sevens background. So when she can take some space and floor it, I think she'll be very hard to stop.
The Bond women are not used to playing in the dark here at the Canal. As O'Brien gets it back to Ship. Normal service resumes. Pluples across. Getting in there as well was Gemma Blair for Bond in the 29. Bruard, Watt, the old firm. Getting it towards the 50. That's a strong mark in traffic from Mitchell.
It's a great one-on-one contest there.
So Mitchell looking for the target. Got over Davidson and then straight to Davies. That was a brilliant pass. And then playing it left, undercooks it to Gregory. Possibly, well, hindsight's wonderful, but I think Davies should have had the shot. Back Alder, just dropped it over her shoulder, but a good effort to get there. Blair, she's looked good in the back. Found her confidence as she's gone on. Samuels, just dropping it under pressure from, I think, Alder. Out to Watt. Found Pluples, back to Watt. She loves those 1-2s. Not her best kick. Hits Bruard in the chest. Bruard has a bit of the fumbles. Of course, at this time of night, you get a bit of a dew effect as well, so the handling may be affected. These are quick contests. Southport have been able to maintain possession, says the commentator as they lose possession. But the free kick for the throw will go the way of the yellow and blues. Apologies, the arm went up the wrong way. Goes from Mitchell. Bruard. Bruard looking towards the goal square. Gregory went for it. It fell sideways to, I think it was Lightfoot. Cleared out, looking for a contest. Pearce over the back, used her height well, just couldn't hang on. O'Brien in way too much space for Bond's liking. Not her best kick. Hutton, that is typical Georgia Hutton, clears the contest, looking for Taylor on the wing. Speed from Ship. Taylor got down low, made sure the contact wasn't over the shoulder. Stoppage at left half forward, Southport's perspective. Been a fast opening 2 minutes to this third term. Southport with the upper hand. Ship with the air swing. Recovers. And if the umpire doesn't blow that up, it's going to push underground. Well controlled by Caleb Stevens and Jack Pledge tonight. They've had just the right amount of flow to this game as the ball is just kicked through towards the boundary. Time to clean up. That might have been Daniels at the back. Apologies if that was misidentified. Over in the middle to Moody. Moody eventually has to hack it. Clean bowls Pluples. Kendall. Beautiful spin from Kendall. And the run inside from might be Nolan. Nolan with a second effort. He's able to run away from Pluples. It's a decent battle. Pluples did well. She's got speed and physical strength.
Great chase, and somehow that ball found O'Brien. It looked like it was an error, but O'Brien again just finds herself in the right space.
And O'Brien did everything right till the last. However, there was pushing away from the contest. And Taylor Gregory, who's been in good goal scoring form this year, will have a relatively easy shot. And because we're from the same place, I'm contractually obliged to mention she's from Newcastle. Okay, I've got it out of the way.
That's how we know you're from Newcastle.
Yeah.
You'll tell us.
Taylor Gregory. Slight angle. And I think, just from a technical point of view, I think she ran too close to the player on the mark, tried to get around it, and that's why it sprayed out to the right. She's got the distance. You can kick that from 5 metres further back, and she'll be sweet. And in this competition, just in case you're wondering why the player's going to retrieve the ball, it's a safety rule. The umpires are not allowed to leave the playing area, which is the fence, basically. So Kaslar coming left, nearly caught by, I think, Remos. And you could see the look of anguish on Hutton's face as that came way too sweetly off the boot and into the night.
Well, I called it deliberate, but it's certainly, I don't think that one was quite deliberate from her.
I was just out in the full, so
yeah,
that's all. So Remos O'Brien using her strength to beat Reeves. Reeves ran past her, so O'Brien into the middle. That's a good interception from Jasmine Davidson. Over the top, just overcooked it, was looking for the run of Hewitt. The turnover occurs. Bruard to Ship, goes back through Ingram. Crashing forward is Priest. Her ability to know when to enter the contest is an education in itself. Work on the ground from Ingram. Came down from the Northern Territory this year. Has been growing in confidence. Put forward, a bad bounce for Alder. Goes through to Ivorak. Not a Bond jersey in sight. And they're able to prevent any kind of scoring at all. Horrible kick. Hunter cleaning up. Good pace from Priest. She's lost nothing despite the fact that she's supposedly the wrong side of 30. And to put that in context, I'm the very wrong side of 30. Quiet, Hannah. I saw the way you were thinking.
No comment.
Yeah, exactly. So about 40 from goal for Bond. O'Brien. That's not the first time she's handballed it into an opponent's head tonight. That time it was Sexton. But the numbers at the contest nearly fell to Ivorak. Brilliant work from Remos on the ground. Out from Della. Della looking for low. The pace of Priest won the day through to Bruard. Her ability to get out of trouble is incredible. And Southport have several players that can help with that. O'Connell and Maloof combining. O'Connell not afraid to get down low. Maloof behind the contest. O'Connell rolled with it. Trying to play rugby with Kendall, I think. Out towards Della on the left. Della inside, was looking for Nolan, didn't quite find her. Was overrun by Ivorak, but Ivorak getting to push forward for one of the few times in this match. Nolan putting pressure on. Shortest player on the ground, but tough. Ball up 35 from goal. Pearce, big hit, didn't find a midfielder. Pearce again, pressure on Ship. Bruard found Bailey at the back. Bailey comes wing side. Hannah Davies. Davies inside to Bruard, had Sexton on her straight away. That is monstrous work from Courtney Sexton. It's a boundary throw in, but that is a brain rattler right there, and then that's the kind of tackle that stays in an opponent's head.
It was a great chase down from Davies, but unfortunately just putting her teammate under a lot of pressure with Bond's defence right behind her.
So Sexton, and Ship was pushed out of the way legitimately by Taylor. That's the kind of teamwork that I mentioned Southport were doing instinctively early in the match. Bond is starting to find that. They're building their combinations as we watch. A boundary throw in literally on the 50. Pearce versus Davidson. Didn't go 15. Play will continue through McMullen. McMullen, that's a good pickup from Taylor. Couldn't quite get it onto the boot. Southport looking to clear, didn't have the numbers. O'Brien missed it for once. It can happen. Pumped inside 50. The target was Della. Priest was in the way. Della will win the free kick. The arm went up the wrong way again. I'm sorry, I was confused. And Southport able to play out left through Baldwin. Baldwin looking for the run of Ramos. Good teamwork on the right, but eventually it'll be seen over the boundary by Davidson.
So 11 minutes to play here at Bond University Oval. And Bond's just not able to get their second major since that second term. Happened in the 29th minute. And yet to get another one so far.
Well, even though they're able to get inside 50, it was really only once they got deep, and Southport were able to defuse the attack. Pearson Davidson's a high-quality ruck battle. Sexton versus O'Brien is a high-quality midfield. Did O'Brien just pick Sexton up?
Wouldn't be surprised at all if she did.
That's just rude. Neither would have minded. Davidson gets the better of Pearce. Can't quite get to the contest as falling over it was Kylie McMullen on debut. So a little bit bogged down on the southern side of the ground. This is an east-west facing ground. There's only 3 in the competition. Here, St Lucia and Hickey Park at Stafford, or Energy Oval as it's now known. How did Sexton get that? I'm not surprised she got it. I just don't know how it happened. Ramos, Bruard, Ingram. Been impressed with Ingram tonight in number 19 for the Southport Sharks. Pearce over the top. Pressure on Bruard. Not many teams are able to put that much pressure on Bruard, but she hasn't had a lot of space tonight. Ingram at the back. Gave herself space. Then delivered a bit of a hospital pass to Bruard. Tried to step around. The turnover occurs. Kendall gets rid of it this time. Looking forward. Alder was in good position but missed it.
Well, this is where we've seen Bond struggle. They've managed to bring the ball down here, but Southport's defence just outnumbering them so far. And they'll look to get that one to safety again through the middle channel.
Lovely stepping from Mitchell. And a good intercept mark from Toby Chapman. She's been impressive tonight. And finds space in Samuels. Just knocked it behind her. Evades Davies. Hutton deep inside 50, but it wasn't particularly well-directed kick, although it works out all right. Ma, Priest with the hoof. Samuels under pressure from Davies. Johnson had a very good first half. Spun past the attacker in Della. Cleaned up by Ramos. She's so calm. Sorry.
Where are the Bond numbers here? It's their forward 50, and it feels like half of them aren't in it.
They might be a little bit wary of the Southport counter-attack, which is a legitimate concern. But when you're 17 points down, maybe in the next quarter we'll see them throw a few players forward more, and they'll risk conceding a goal. for the possible reward of scoring one.
Jeff O'Brien taken down. Don't see that happen too often.
Oh, when you look at who the tackler was, Ms. P. Lightfoot, who I've described as being smart enough to practice law, which she did, and wise enough not to, as Johnson is tackled by Maloof. But no, runs her own gym these days, and her business acumen is as impressive as her defensive play. Watt on the ground, didn't have the numbers in front of her. Ramos, she does that repeatedly. Her ability to find space on a footy field and a basketball court is extraordinary. Falls inside. Davies had eyes only for the ball. Space now through Mitchell. Not a lot ahead of her. A weaving run. Right direction, wrong strength. Chapman clears. Looking for Samuels. Samuels has found space several times in the last few minutes. She's providing options for her kickers behind her. Excellent team play. Made her debut in a finals match last year, which is a pressure situation. Held her own. Bruard from behind Della. Pluples nearly took the catch of the century. Sexton. I know what she was trying to do. Didn't work on that occasion.
Just a bit too much power on that one. A few too many wheat bix. A couple of times tonight. I feel like when Bond have their opportunities, almost just getting a little bit freaked out by the Southport defence.
Do you blame them?
Not one bit.
I'm a very large man and I'd be freaked out by the Southport defence, to be perfectly honest. Inside to a contest. Good work from Blair to use her body. Mitchell is working so hard at the moment. Breaks the attempted tackle of Kendall. Perry found Hunter behind her. Found Bruard. Wide to Ship. There is a spare in front of her. Didn't find her. Went to the contest instead in the form of Gregory. Davies goes for the long shot. The run coming in from Maloof. Didn't get that far. Moody cleans up at fullback and she'll play right to Lightfoot. Sorry, that's Taylor. Apologies. If you want me to say your name properly, don't run into the dark part of the ground. Blair. Sorry, Hewitt. Hewitt's been impressive in 27 tonight. Taylor misses the tackle. Bailey, in fact, yeah, just slipped up over the shoulder, so Bailey will have a free kick. Left wing, Southport Sharks perspective. So Bond, in fact, had the free kick in the middle of the field. Apologies again. They play right. Good work from Ivorak. Slid into that mark like she was doing a guitar solo. Kendall leapt, but there were plenty of numbers in white behind the contest. Priest, Watt, Perry. Perry coming near side. Georgia Hutton. She reads the play ahead of her so well. Couldn't find a teammate in the right position. Evaded the tackle of Mitchell, or rather disposed in the tackle of Mitchell. Davies went in what looked like a little high, but that's okay to let it go. Hutton goes across field. The pressure from Southport has stopped Bond from advancing a centimetre as Taylor goes for a ride. And Southport definitely won that little passage of play.
4 minutes to go here before we head into that final term next up. So Bond, if they've got any chance of putting some scoreboard pressure on, really need to put something on the board in the next 4 minutes into that final term.
Just the one behind in this quarter. From Maloof from memory. Gregory, little dinky kicks. Samuels put pressure on Bruard. And Taylor is able to make the clearance. Kick needs to be accurate. Tarleton did well against Priest. Priest will win most of those situations. Well weighted. The class of Selena Priest. Finding Mitchell at right half forward. Mitchell looks for the short kick. Just slightly high for Maloof to properly clunk. Bruard. In towards Gregory. Was about to pull the trigger. Found she didn't have a gun. Good clean up at the back from Hewitt and then Hutton. But again, not a great clearance. Ship. And good alertness from Ivorak to stand on the mark. Kendall getting a little close to the protected area rather. Just dropped at the back from Moody, but then cleared.
So Bond just putting it in the air there, but it's very often just going straight back to Southport, who are just very much so on the ready. Again, goes up and straight back to pupils.
At least that was directed towards a contest, whereas I think the previous one was just pretty much get it out of here. What? Haven't seen too much of her in the last 20 minutes or so. We have seen a fair bit of Grace Moody.
She's been a massive rock there for Bond in the defence.
I think she fooled her own teammates there. She did the old trick of faking right, coming left, and her teammates went, oh, you do that, do you? So into space, be cleaned up fairly easily by Lee Alder. She's got time to write a book before she kicks that one. Maddie Watt through the middle. Crashing through, gets there ahead of Ivarak. Good flick out through. Remos. Pressure was put on her handball and pushed through by Evie Reeves. 1-on-3. Izzy Lowe was simply outnumbered and still managed to put pressure on. Perry knocks forward to Pluples. Pluples, bit of a hospital pass to Bailey. She dealt with it well. And then through the middle was Remos. Gregory attempted mark of the year. Didn't work this time. I think she's got it in her. Remos in space. Closed down by Ivarak. Brilliant work from Ivarak. Not a lot of time. Bond have to use it.
You're right, 1 minute 30. And straight back into the hands of Alder.
And I think she may have been looking for Courtney Sexton, but if you've got someone who's about 20 centimetres taller standing behind her, maybe not the best option. That's no disrespect to Sexton. He's on the wing. Good work from Moody, who's moved up the field. All the Bond defenders know when to play high, as Lightfoot demonstrates by being a long way up the field. Ship has been very busy tonight, brought to ground on this occasion. As behind the play, you can see the Southport reserves warming up, and in front of the play, Ivarak just having a bit of push and shove with a few of the Southport Sharks. Davidson wins the ruck easily, but hit it to a teammate. Malouf was in there, and now Moody just got whatever kick away she could, and Pluples just had to hold her nerve. And the ball, I suppose. Pluples straight through the middle to a contest, looking for Gregory. Fell to Malouf. Malouf into space. The foot race is on. Hutton going back. Baldwin is there. Shied away from it a bit. The shot came in. That's brilliant work at the back. Davidson and then delivered to Blair. Jasmine Davidson working hard after the ruck contest. Oh, friendly fire, Alder. Crashing into a teammate. Alder seems to be fine. Gregory's okay.
And that brings us to the end of the third quarter. Bond University still 1-6 and Southport 3-5-23. Fair bit of a lead there for Southport as we head into this final term after the break. 20 minutes to play here at Bond University Oval at the Canal between Bond University and the Southport Sharks. And defensively, that third quarter from Bond was sensational. Unfortunately, didn't hit the scoreboard, but kept Southport to just one behind.
They showed a lot more intent, and at the risk of oversimplifying this very complicated sport, they ran faster. They got to the ball in numbers a lot more quickly. And I think sometimes when you're a 17-year-old who's playing your first game, you kind of forget, it's like, oh, hang on, maybe I am good enough. Maybe I will charge towards this. So they've got their confidence now. Unfortunately, they conceded 2 goals early.
Well, we saw them in the huddle cheering on. They've got one big term to go, still in it.
As Davidson's done well in the ruck, and then Brouard to O'Brien. O'Brien, this is classic Southport move. Looking for Gregory. Gone past her, she falls to ground. Kaslar just couldn't quite get it on to Blair. Pluples, Blair brings Pluples down. That's the kind of effort we've been talking about.
Blair, she's been great tonight.
Oh, she clearly belongs. Played a few games for North Melbourne in the VFLW, but just the 3, and then went back to play for Old Scotch Collegians. Good work. Blair brought down that time. Not sure if she had any prior opportunity, but it spilled to Southport anyway. Watt, not her best kick. And taken a little too comfortably by Taylor. Taylor was looking for Della. She was just a little spooked by Pluples in front of her. Friendly fire with Blair. An ill-directed kick picked off by Ship.
Just a couple of unforced errors here from Bond. You can see where they're intending to go, and they've got players free, but unfortunately the accuracy just missing a little bit. Probably overestimating how far their teammates can kick in this fourth term. Obviously, you know, fatigue is going to start to set in.
You see players, O'Connell crashes through, steps inside. That is a Goal of the Year nomination from Maggie O'Connell. She had a lot of work to do when she gathered that 15 metres out. And the fact that she made it look easy in the end is a credit to Maggie O'Connell.
You were certainly right about the goal celebration though, Dan. Massive from O'Connell. Loves a snag or two.
Oh, Maggie loves a whole barbecue, I think you'll find. So, but no, that's well, she's the first player in the unless someone's had a massive bag of goals at one of the other games today, which you'll be able to watch during the week on the AFL Queensland or official AFLQ YouTube channel. But I think she's the first player in this comp to hit 10 goals for the year. So Southport just taking a big step towards the 4 points. Falls forward to Della. Della gets it forward. Davidson needed to hold on. Gets past Priest and then well picked off by Tamsin Perry. Miss everywhere at times. Sunny Hewitt. Chance to make her stamp on the game. Drills the low pass. Just cleared the target and cleaned up by Ma.
Southport's positioning in the defence just really strategic. You know, they're staying one-on-one, but they're also just ready for anything stray.
I'll talk more about that once they clear, because watching a Southport game from the boundary fence is an education. Well caught by Davies. Essentially, Selena Priest does a lot of yelling back there, and it's all high quality. Her ability to organise a defence in front of her is absolutely legendary, as Brouard is able to play it in front of the grandstands. I believe that's Ship. Just a shadow from here, but I'm not going to make excuses. I'm not that kind of person. O'Connell had it kicked out from under her. So Hutton a lot of space. Look at the run from Mitchell. Mitchell attacked that contest hard. Looks like Kaslar turning around, trying to run through the contest. The physicality, if anything's gone up in term number 4.
I feel like the fitness from Southport tonight's also just had the edge over Bond as well. You know, any time there's a foot race, Southport coming out on top a lot of the times.
Well, to put it, again, oversimplify, I'm doing that a lot tonight. The 24-year-olds had more time to spend in the gym than a 17-year-old. And endurance is something that that improves with age and work.
Very well put, Dan.
That was that was diplomatic enough.
Big hit here, though. When the Southport players just slow to get up there.
So they'll move it back inside 50. Good lead, good mark, good hands, Hannah Davies.
She took off early and her opponent just had no chance to chase her down then.
She creates space brilliantly in the forward 50. Looking for a tall forward, or might find Mitchell out the back. Hutton cleaning up. Mitchell steals it, and she may have stolen the game as well.
Well, 2 goals already. That's a big stamp on the game. We could nearly hear what Doc was saying to the team, but it looked pretty much like, let's put this to bed.
I heard some of the players as they came off the field saying through the gate. So I wonder whether his metaphor that he used in the huddle was, you know, there's a gate, go through the gate to victory. I'm putting words in Doc's mouth there, mainly because it's fun. But
we've actually got a secret mic where we can hear all the thoughts and words of each coach and player.
You weren't supposed to say that out loud, Hannah. Yes, ixnay on the arc, mate.
You often hear commentators saying what they think players are saying, and it's a bit of a cliche we do.
And the pace from Southport, they've got their tails up. Pearson Brouard working it through the middle. The crash coming in from Pluples has been impressive today. Out the back to Ingram. And she's been good when necessary. Wide to Brouard again. O'Brien.
A lot of uncontested possessions here for Southport. The defenders just know where to be seen once they get on the foot.
Out of Southport. Fallen loose. Davies was nearly in again. Took some good work from Chapman and co. Again, Gregory, Davies. All the Southport players behind the ball. And they will get a clearing free kick, the Bull Sharks.
Great space there that they're building.
Now what's Sexton got ahead of her? A player in space. Good vision.
Much better work in this term, just getting free of their opponents, putting in the work early.
Well, just falls into space. Tough tackle from Perry. Again, that's pretty much like saying water's wet. And a tough tackle from Evie Reeves. She's getting more confident at this level. Debuted a couple of weeks ago. But I think she's had 3 games in a row now, and she's looks like she's starting to believe that, yes, she's good enough for this level, which for an under-17 is impressive and a good milestone to pass. And the Swarm on that occasion, Blair.
Well, Blair, we've been saying that name all night. Her pressure on every single possession's been excellent.
And in terms of the result, it's a little bit too little too late. But I do like teams who maybe think, OK, we've lost the 4 points here, but we want to put a few nightmares into the head of our opposition for the next time we play them. Particularly if these two teams play in finals. Ramos saw a wall in front of her, put pressure on the handball, ends up collecting her own handball. But they win the free kick for some off-ball contact.
Steph O'Brien just looks so free over there. And they'll go right up into the middle. And Hannah Davies, here's the foot race. She's very often first to the ball. Bumping away each and every player in her path.
Pushing in the back, so good umpiring from the Southport bench beneath me. And Hannah Davies will get the free kick. Davies looking for a lead. Gregory's on the lead, goes short, and the kick just missed the target. Falling in there, extracted by Lightfoot. Not her best kick. Taylor. Good pressure from Pluples. Was that kicking in danger? It has been called that way. Again, sometimes not quite sure whether the arm goes up to indicate you won the free kick or you better run that way because it's not your free kick.
It's a little bit confusing.
Have a chat afterwards. That's a lovely kick into the pocket. Just went through the hands. Fell at the back to it. Might have been Chapman. Good work again from Tarleton, who's moved into the back, who would much prefer to be pushing forward, but you go where the help's needed. Gregory with a free kick. I suspect it was for contact before the ball actually came down. But often if you don't get Gregory at that point. Not on the scoreboard yet today. She's had 2 misses. But looking settled. 2 goals already in this quarter for the Sharks. And they will maintain their place at the top of the Bond University QAFLW ladder.
Scoreline just pushing out there by 35 now, 41-6. Well, 9 minutes to play, so Bond, their attempt at the game might be a little bit too late, but there's still plenty to take away from this. But the forwards here from Southport just stamping their mark on this 4th term.
Well, they began the game strongly, and they're finishing it strongly, and they clearly believe they got the 4 points now because Selena Priest just came off the field and impersonated an aeroplane as she tagged off to the play, replacing her. Bruard, ball winner extraordinaire, couldn't quite get it on that occasion, came out through Ramos. Out the back to Moody, looks like she's moved into the middle. Lightfoot at the back, Maloof pushing forward, Maloof carrying Lightfoot with her, that's nice. Nolan dropping back, very calm play out to Samuels, who's had some very good moments this game. Samuels wide, finds Reeves.
Well, they've got players free, but can they push it far enough? Not quite. So they'll have to recover into the middle now. And again, just not too many options, and that one goes a little bit too far.
Good support play. Samuels, that left foot's proving influential. Maybe not tonight. Low again. Pushes it across, but that'll give Bond some hope. They know they can break down this Southport defence. They just haven't done it enough tonight.
Possibly even a little bit trigger happy there. I felt like that angle was always going to be difficult.
Oh, I think when you kick 8 goals in a week, you have a bit of confidence going into the next week.
Well, this is true.
I have no experience kicking 8 goals in a week. Hewitt finds forwards again. Della crashing through. Just there was a little Southport hand which scuppered the handball. Sexton fighting. Got it out to Della. Della looking like a halfback of the rugby union variety. And there will be a ball up, let's say, 25 from goal. Couldn't quite get the tap back to Tarleton. Stolen by Watt. Watt given space by Ship. It's that little unseen play, helping your opponents in space as Baldwin finds Watt. Watt kicks to space. When you're this far ahead, you can play the space. Fumbling, Mitchell puts pressure on Lightfoot. Lightfoot has to retreat, has Moody behind her, uses Hutton. Just little skill errors. Watt finds Ship. Ship looking for O'Connell. It turns O'Connell. Battling left it from Maloof. Maloof turning, and the tackle from Chapman was strong and had to be. Also good work before that from Annalise Daniel.
Unfortunately for Bond, just a few self-made errors here, allowing Southport to keep penetrating into that 50.
Well, the transition was so quick, largely through Maddie Watt. Attempted to clear, goes too low for O'Brien. Pearce gets it inside to Ship. Ship left it for Watt. Watt inside, this could roll through. No, excellent work at the back. I believe Chapman again. She's got a career. Baldwin with a little kick inside. Didn't quite wait it. Tarleton's taken high by Mitchell. Lightfoot coming in to protect her players. And I think, yeah, that's what happens in footy. Heading straight through the middle, over the top of Tarleton. She's tried hard tonight. Made her captaincy debut last week with Paris Hilton taking a week out with a black eye. Ramos closest to it, but created space for Watt. Watt through the middle. Missed back from Samuels. And then being wrapped up on the far side, I think Lightfoot was expecting a whistle. Umpire called play on. Lightfoot said, really? And the umpire said, okay, I'll blow it. That all happened.
She's just got that power in the game, doesn't she?
She can telepathically influence the whole contest. So Gregory getting out. O'Brien flattened. Working out the back is Moody. She's been important tonight. Probably wish she hadn't quite so much work to do overall. Taylor just knocks it out for the benefit of Samuels. Samuels, Pearce is closest to it. The appetite for the contest just not quite there as Ma got involved. Created space for Ingram. Good tackle from behind. And if our colleague Chris Yeend was here, he'd be saying G-A-W-N, gone. We know, all right? Don't send letters. We know. Bond. Not their last chance, but they are running out. I think they've conceded the 4 points, but when you've got young players playing a good side, get the experience. Ingram, lovely step. Went for a bounce. And somehow she still ended up with it. Good persistence, Sarah Ingram. I'm not laughing at your ability, I'm just laughing at the air swing. Good work from Bond. Lovely shimmy from Moody. Didn't quite get a clean kick away. Almost turned over to Perry, but the numbers are there for the blue and yellows. Yellow and blues. Remember the song, Daniel.
Well, this has been the theme. Bond's just great on that first effort at the ball, but it's this second one here that Southport are just eating alive.
Lovely step from Ship. Inside, Plooples, Ship. Desperate dive to intercept from, might have been Moody. The defensive mark drop. Gregory finds O'Brien. Ran out of space. Has a shot anyway. It's to the left of Maloof. Put pressure on, might have been Kendall at the back. Davies. Maloof. Maloof pulled off her own shot. Had no prior opportunities, so plays allowed to continue quite rightly. And there will be a ball up in a great position for the Sharks. Gregory in the ruck, hits the ground without anyone laying a hand on it. Not quite able to get it out. The clearances aren't coming from Sexton. Taylor will have a go. Back inside to, Kaslar, not Sexton, apologies. Inside, Kaslar will get a third attempt once she can extract it from the contest. Well cleared, and that was Davidson back there. Just wrong-footed Brouard. Got away from Lightfoot, had an Ivorak on her back. Sexton told to play on, does so. Blair found Taylor. Tarleton working hard ahead of Bailey. Steps inside Bailey. That's a bit more like Lily Tarleton. She hasn't had many opportunities for that sort of thing tonight. Over the head of Lowe, cleaned up by Ma. Has Hunter in support. And that's an excellent tackle to cause the stoppage inside 50. Samuels. Arguably Bond's best tonight. Sexton and Brouard. It's been a key battle. Brouard probably coming out on top, but not really individual effort. O'Brien, Brouard. Over the head of Gregory. Not quite held at the back. That was Daniel with the air swing. Falls again to Gregory. The tackle from Reeves. Davidson bumped off it. O'Brien bumping everything out of the way. Teammates, opponents, doesn't matter. Goes for the volleyball hit down. And eventually cleared by Lightfoot. Through the hands of Plooples. Another good game. Becoming one of the premier wingers in this competition. Ship. Beat Nolan in the one-on-one. It'll come inside to Ramos. Ramos looks inside. Good patience, good vision. Looking for the run of Mitchell. Ingram. Good block from Lightfoot. Ingram with a second chance. Looking for the forward, but excellent work at the back from Reeves. Maloof got it to Ingram. Couldn't break the tackle. Back to Maloof. They're doing enough. Slammed to ground, able to clear. Underneath Pearce. Ivorak. Mars pushed forward, looking for action at the back of the contest. Tarleton. Able to be cleared through Hutton. Perry at the back uses Hunter. Final minute. Southport will be happy with the night's work.
Less than 30 to go. Paris Lightfoot there for Bond, just clutched her hand. Looks like a last-minute injury, and Bond definitely look like at this point they've conceded this one. Well, that won't be good for the captain if she's done something serious to that hand.
Well, I'm pretty sure she doesn't play piano, so won't affect that part of her life. But it's been a comprehensive performance by Southport tonight. They came here as favourites, but it's not simply been because of the personnel. Bond University has tasted defeat on their home ground as the Southport Sharks maintain their position at the top of the table in the Bond University QAFLW.
4 wins in a row for the Southport Sharks, and that one definitely tasted sweet. They looked the better team all night, and you know, we have to say there were a few outs for Bond, but I think Southport, regardless, had a really strong game across the entire field. You know, they looked cohesive, and I think, you know, across the team, yes, but even further into their positional teams, they just looked very comfortable and very wanting of that win.
It's traditional, and you can do this as well, but traditional at the end of our QAFLW broadcast to pretend that we're the umpires awarding the 3-2-1s at the end of the game. So you're welcome to have a crack at it. I'm just working mine out now, but I mean, I said it early in the broadcast, but the way that the Southport team were instinctively working for each other, Bond eventually got there, and the good news from their perspective is that, well, certainly when they were running they conceded goals in 2 quarters, the first and last, but in the middle, it was, 6 points to 8 there across the middle 2 quarters. So they know they can match it with Southport. It's just that when Southport use that extra gear, they are irrepressible.
Well, you mentioned 3-2-1s there. Look, I'm not entirely sure in my exact order, but I think, you know, for Bond to impress me was certainly the captain, Paris Lightfoot, and her partnership there with the defenders. I thought she stood up, you know, when they did have a younger side tonight. I thought Jacinta Kendall is someone to keep an eye on. I think each week we're going to see her get better and better. Her speed is certainly there. Gemma Blair, she was very good tonight, very reliable. Again, you know, all sides of the field. And for Southport, well, pretty much across the field, they were sensational. You know, we say her name all the time, Steph O'Brien just provided support exactly when she needed. Plooples, great involvement tonight. Ship, Hannah Davies, my namesake, I thought she was brilliant. I think she used her speed really well against Bond. You know, pretty much every loose ball she chased up and was faster. Daniel, what did you make of it?
Look, it was my 3-2-1. I've gone for 3 Southport players, but you're absolutely right with some of the players you identified from the Bull Sharks. I'm very impressed with Evie Reeves down back. I think she's got a real future here. Toby Chapman on debut. Made a lot of interventions in defence. Very impressed with her. And Lexi Samuels, I think this is about her 3rd or 4th game in the top grade. Best I've seen her play at this level. But my one point I gave to Abby Plooples, because I thought her outside work on the midfield, just every time they needed to press the ball forward, she was the one who did it. And then have gone straight to the middle because it was Southport's ability to control the middle of the field and make sure that they were the ones who won the vast majority of the contest. So 2 points for mine to Maddie Watt and 3 points to Carly Ramos, who I think was someone who not only was able to win the ball in the middle, but she was regularly the creator of the inside 50 opportunities. And no disrespect to Steph O'Brien, who sometimes I wonder if I underrate her because she's so brilliant all the time. But today I'm going to go with Ramos as my best on ground, Watt behind her, and then Plooples.
Well, that wraps up our round 4 match of the round of the Bond University QAFLW. Southport remain undefeated and gives a bit of hope for the rest of the competition that, you know, we said, is it the grand final preview? Well, maybe it's not, and maybe there's still plenty to play out. Well, not maybe, because certainly there is still plenty to play out and a lot to take away from that for Bond, despite the scoreline. Well, we thank you so much for tuning in to the Bond University QAFLW. My name's Hannah Davies. I was your host tonight, and Daniel Viles, of course, in special comments. Daniel, thanks for tonight.
Thank you. Well done on your debut for women's footy.
Thank you. Not on the field, but in the commentary box, of course. And we'll catch you for the next broadcast.